In the mid-21st century, programmer Cohen sits naked at his home desk while staring at a black hole on a big screen. When his phone rings, he desperately answers it, but it's not the call he's been waiting for, so he immediately hangs up. Cohen goes back to work and the phone rings once more, but it isn't what he wants either, so he hangs up again. Afterward, Cohen gathers his strength and dares to go outside, which he hates. The church he lives in is in shambles and has no lock, so he has to chain the door. His neighborhood is quite dystopian. It's in a deplorable state and cops stop random citizens on a whim, yet there are also bright screens playing the news and promoting all kinds of products. Eventually he arrives at the headquarters of Mancom, the company he works for. He does something called crunching entities for the Ontological Research Division. A camera keeps recording him while he works and he has to replace a glowing tube every time he makes progress. A few hours after he arrives, he gets a call informing him that management will review his disability request in the afternoon. When supervisor Joby comes to check on him, Cohen tells him he's dying and that he's got an appointment later to prove it. Joby asks him to cancel it because they need him for a project, but Cohen reveals he's already finished it because he did some work at home too. In fact, he wants his whole shift to be fully remote because he hates this place and he doesn't want to miss his call, but Joby reminds him that only management can decide that and nobody speaks to management. In the afternoon, Cohen meets up with the medical evaluation team. Since he keeps referring to himself as we, it confuses the doctors. He insists that he's dying and points at his hair loss as proof, but the doctors have run some tests and say he's perfectly healthy. In fact, Cohen is their most productive worker. After Cohen argues with them, they decide to request a psychiatric evaluation. When Cohen returns to his desk, Lobby informs him that he's throwing a party and management will be there. Cohen admits he hates and even fears parties, but he can't let this chance pass. In the evening, Cohen arrives at the party, which is annoyingly colorful and loud for him. He immediately asks Joby where to find management, but Joby tells him to relax and mingle. Bainsley compliments Cohen's looks, but it makes him feel uncomfortable. Scared and awkward, Cohen makes his way through the crowd until he finds a dark room where he can be at peace. He doesn't notice someone else in the room until he sees him move. This is management, who wants to know what issues he's having. Cohen tells him that commuting is a waste of time, that he'd be much more productive at home, and that he doesn't want to miss a call he's been waiting for all his life. He doesn't know the nature or origin of the call, but he hopes it'll provide him with the purpose he never had and tell him the meaning of life. Management calls him insane, so Cohen apologizes and leaves. On his way out, Cohen bumps into Joby, who drags him back into the party and promises a proper meeting with management. He also forces him to eat something without flavor as their diets demand. Cohen keeps trying to escape and the struggle causes him to choke on the food as his boss appears before him again. Management asks him about the meaning of life before announcing he has a project for him. Since Cohen is still choking, Bainsley rushes to give him abdominal thrust and makes him spit out the food, which is taken by a rat. Embarrassed and overwhelmed, Cohen hides in the bathroom and has a small breakdown. Soon Bainsley comes looking for him and makes him hold her wine glass while she pees, which makes him very uncomfortable. She also asks him to join her, causing him to leave the bathroom in panic and discomfort. Then Cohen looks for management, but he's gone. Bainsley finds him again and introduces herself for some chit-chat. Tired of this, Cohen tries to leave the party, but Bainsley follows him. The next day at the office, Cohen keeps staring in confusion at the numbers on his hand. Joby comes to inform him that his request to work from home has been approved because he's been chosen for a secret project called Zero Theorem. Management has been choosing workers for this project for years, but it's such a burnout that nobody lasts long. Joby worked in it for 3 weeks when he was young and had to quit, but that's how he became a supervisor. He thinks Cohen was chosen because he's already a little crazy. A tech team has already been sent to Cohen's house to change the lock and set up other security systems. Then Joby takes Cohen to see a supercomputer known as Neural Net Mainframe, which is the center of management's operation. Humans have to wear protective robes around it, and all the daily programming that workers like Cohen do is fed into it so it can continue to learn. Summer intern Bob is in charge of doing maintenance and thinks Cohen will only last 2 weeks in the project. He calls everyone Bob because he thinks remembering names is a waste of brain cells. Joby opens a special hatch in the machine to grab the tube with the software. He gives it to Cohen as he explains that he'll receive new data downloads every week. Later at home, Cohen is working hard on the new project, clearly much happier and relaxed than he was in the office. He finishes lots of equations and downloads them in the software tubes. The computer AI often sends him reminders to upload the processed data, but it's not needed since he's always on schedule. A camera on the Jesus statue keeps an eye on his work. Months pass and even on Christmas Cohen continues to work while wearing a Santa hat. However, he's growing frustrated because he's supposed to reach a result where 0 equals 100% and he keeps failing. He's managed to increase his percent from 93 to 97, but he's still nowhere close to 100. This frustration causes him to upload the updates at the last second when he receives the reminders. All this time, Cohen has also been attending therapy sessions with Dr. Shrink Ram, an AI shrink. Today Shrink Ram goes through the long lists of Cohen's fears and says that today she wants him to talk about his joys for a change. However, Cohen says that he feels no joy at the present. In fact, he currently feels nothing at all. Their chat is interrupted by a data upload reminder and Cohen freaks out because he's made no progress. Shrink Rom helps him calm down with breathing exercises before ending the session. At night, Cohen keeps dreaming about a terrifying black hole. In the mornings, he's awakened by the upload reminders. Sometimes he thinks about Bainsley and their last talk at the party. She got too touchy for his comfort and kept asking him to come to her place, refusing to take no as an answer. She gave him her phone for when he would finally change his mind. After another long day of work, Cohen tries to have dinner and is startled by the upload reminder, causing him to burn his arm on the hot plate. He bandages his arm and goes back to work, but first he turns the monitor thinking that may help him visualize the equations better. Unfortunately, he keeps failing, not to mention that he gets constant interruptions like the phone ringing and the doctor telling him to breathe. All the pressure and frustration finally cause him to snap, so he grabs a hammer to destroy the computer and the phone before having a breakdown. In the morning, Joby comes to fix the monitor and check on him. Cohen explains he's having difficulty maintaining the upload schedule and Joby says that personnel meltdowns are normal. He would pull Cohen out of the project but management wants to give him another chance. With a simple sheet, Joby fixes the monitor in a second. He then asks for a drink, but Cohen can only offer him nasty-looking tap water. Joby admits that he misses Cohen at the office because he's one of the only friends he has. Then he asks him what is giving him trouble. When Cohen explains that the zero theorem is unprovable and insists he only wants his call, Joby insists he only needs to keep trying and he shouldn't let the stress get him in a bad mood. He promises to send someone to help Cohen relax. Later, Cohen dreams about the black hole again and is awakened by a knock on the door. It's Bainsley dressed as a nurse. She says that Joby sent her but that she isn't his friend because Joby doesn't have any. When she asks about the church, he explains he bought it from an insurance company years ago and it was cheap because of the extensive fire damage. As Bainsley looks around, she keeps teasing him by showing off her rear or touching him under his robe. When she reaches his desk, she breaks her nail on the keyboard and asks him to kiss it better, so he does it just to keep her happy. It's an awkward peck, so Bainsley sucks his finger to show him how it's done. Suddenly, Shrink Rom appears on the screen to point out that Bainsley is trying to project her unresolved issues of paternal abandonment. When she's about to mention the age difference, Bainsley insults her and turns it off. She explains that her father died and that she didn't come to do the naughty, she only does tantric stuff. Afterward, Bainsley helps him clean up and notices that Cohen often stares at her. She convinces him to open up a bit, so he admits that he always wanted to feel different and unique. However, an objective analysis got him to conclude that he's as inconsequential as anyone else. One night a long time ago, he received a phone call from a mysterious voice, who said his name in such a powerful way that Cohen felt a rush of joy like he never felt before. It was so strong that he knew this voice could tell him his purpose in life. This excitement caused him to accidentally drop the receiver and the call ended, so he's been waiting for a callback since. Bainsley doesn't understand what the big deal is, but she agrees to help him and promises to come back soon. Sometime later, Bob rings the bell. Cohen refuses to let him in, so Bob forces the door open and rushes to the bathroom to relieve himself. Then two funny-looking men burst into the building and make Cohen sign a delivery form. They explain that Bob has been assigned to help him and they'll pick him up in 4 hours. Bob starts fixing and upgrading Cohen's computer as he reveals that management is his father, so he's working this summer job because Dad forced him to. He says this will take a few hours and asks Cohen to order real food instead of the nasty oatmeal he keeps around. Cohen admits he's been thinking of quitting, but Bob explains he can't because he's management's tool. Everyone is a tool for the company, including Joby and Bainsley, who hasn't come back yet and is paid by the hour. Cohen refuses to believe that Bainsley isn't genuine. Bob promises that if Cohen keeps working on the project, he'll get his call. At that moment, the pizza arrives and Bob can't stop staring at the delivery girl's cleavage. He complains about his hormones after she leaves. After throwing some pizza at a rat, he says he'll study Cohen's files and come back later. The bodyguards take him away. Sometime later, Bainsley finally returns wearing a very advanced virtual reality suit. She's got one for Cohen too, so she asks him to put it on at midnight and go to her website. That night, Cohen wears the suit and connects it to the computer before opening Bainsley's page, which has lots of naughty pictures. When the simulation begins, Cohen finds himself on a beach with Bainsley. She designed it all, like the new hair on his head. When she pulls out a bottle, Cohen says he doesn't drink, but she reminds him that this is a simulation. He can't get drunk or fat here, and the sun never sets. She feeds him delicious food and kisses his body so he can be amazed at how real it feels. Cohen actually has fun in the sea with a ball, only to suddenly slip and sink. Bainsley immediately rescues him and gives him CPR, which quickly transforms into a kiss. When he asks if they can die here, she says she hopes not. Later, Cohen tells Shrink Rom that he thinks Bob is too young to be helpful. Shrink Rom scolds him and says Bob is a genius. Then she starts rapping to remind him to work. An annoyed Cohen turns her off. When Bob returns, he confirms he messed with the Shrink Rom software, calling her just another tool. Then he starts drawing on the wall to explain that the zero theorem will prove that the universe is all for nothing, calling it a one-time only Big Bang glitch. This theory says that one day the expanding universe will contract into a super dense black hole and everything will get squeezed until it disappears, leaving no life behind. Cohen calls it horrible and refuses to believe it, but Bob disagrees, claiming that nothing can be perfect or last forever. Management used to want Bob to take care of the project because of his beliefs, but Bob refuses to be anyone's tool. After Bob leaves, Cohen starts working again, and now he orders pizza for his meals. That night he tries to connect to Bainsley's website, but Shrink Rom appears to stop him, saying he shouldn't use this girl. Cohen runs a program to get rid of Bob's modifications and accesses the simulation. On the beach, Bainsley tells Cohen it's time for him to choose the next setting. He closes his eyes and concentrates, only to appear floating naked near the black hole from his dreams. Bainsley also appears and holds on to him while the black hole sucks them in. Then they reappear on the beach, and Bainsley wonders how Cohen can live with such emptiness, so he says one day at a time. Bainsley asks him to tell her he loves him and promises to help him, causing him to freak out. He kisses her desperately as he announces he'll stay here forever so he can be happy and not work anymore. As Cohen rips off her bikini top, Bainsley tries to explain that management won't allow this, but Cohen says they can just quit. Bainsley pushes him off in fear, causing him to fall back in the real world too. The sudden disconnection causes the computer to electrocute him. Sometime later, Cohen is behind schedule again. Bob tries to guide him, but he gets frustrated and ends up taking over the control to finish the equation. This upload should keep Mancom busy for a while. When he leaves, Bob takes the VR suit away. That night Cohen opens Bainsley's website. Without the suit, he has to watch her regular streams and deal with the dirty comments in the chat. Bainsley is undressing only to freeze when she sees that Cohen is watching. When she says his name, Cohen closes the page. Afterward, Cohen can't sleep because he keeps thinking about Bainsley and Bob's comments. He tries to look at the website again, but he's been denied access. When he finally falls asleep on his chair, he sees the black hole. The next day Bob brings back the suit, saying he's fixed it and updated it. He also tells Cohen that the call he's expecting is a figment of his imagination. Since Cohen isn't paying attention, Bob modifies Shrink Rom's programming so she can tell the truth. The doctor confirms that the call is a delusion and explains she was programmed to leave that lie untreated so he'd keep working for it. Then Bob says that the call comes from Cohen's soul. He wants him to wear the suit, which will collect his body's energy and send it to Mancom's neural net as data. At that moment Bainsley comes to see Cohen to apologize for what happened. She explains that Joby would let her keep the suit if she played along, and she felt bad for Cohen's loneliness. Although she was acting at first, she now truly cares about him and wants to be together. Cohen coldly accepts her apology but still tries to kick her out, so Bainsley cries as she insists they should run away together, and even Bob tells him to go. Holding back tears, Cohen turns her down again. After Bainsley leaves, Bob calls Cohen heartless and convinces him to take a break by going outside. To make him fit in, Bob shares his youngster clothes. When they reach the park, Bob wonders if Cohen ever had a girlfriend. Cohen shares that he used to be married, but his wife asked for a divorce and he never saw her again. After Bob leaves to get some food, Cohen can't stop thinking about Bainsley's request to run away together. When they return to the church, Bob is surprised to hear that Cohen is finally using I instead of we. Suddenly Bob collapses on a bench, claiming he's feeling dizzy. Cohen touches his forehead and realizes he's actually burning up, but Bob says it's not a big deal because it always happens when he doesn't sleep. He doesn't let Cohen call a doctor, he only asks for aspirin and a bath. After just a few minutes in the bathtub, Bob says he's feeling better and he just needs to sleep. Cohen worries he's unconscious and immediately pulls him out of the tub, but the weight causes him to crash against the bathroom mirror. To Cohen's shock, he finds a hidden camera behind the glass. Once Bob is safe on the couch, Cohen grabs a hammer and begins looking for all the hidden cameras in the church to angrily destroy them. The phone keeps ringing behind him but he ignores it. When he tries to get the camera on the Jesus statue, he ends up having quite a nasty fall. This doesn't stop him from moving some benches to barricade the front door. Then he spends his time taking care of Bob. In the morning, Bob's bodyguards break the door down to take Bob away and promise to return tomorrow for the hardware. In the evening, Joby comes by to reveal that Bob's actions got him fired. He throws a bunch of insults at him, but Cohen just doesn't care. Later Cohen puts on the modified suit and connects it to the computer. However, there's a link error and the machine electrocutes him again. This time he reappears in the room of the neural net mainframe, where several screens play the footage from the hidden cameras. Suddenly management appears nearby and explains that Bob has been hospitalized. He also reveals that Cohen is part of the neural net now and swears he's not the source of Cohen's mysterious call. On a huge screen the black hole of Cohen's dreams appears and management calls it chaos encapsulated. Cohen concludes that this proves the zero theorem, but management says it doesn't because Mancom is still crunching the data. He wants to prove the universe's constant chaotic state so he can sell a solution and profit. Management believes that humanity's need to believe in God and have a greater purpose in this life makes their actual lives meaningless. He chose Cohen for the project because his faith in a call that would give him purpose made him the antithesis of the project. However, Cohen ended up taking it to the extreme by waiting all day by the phone, causing him to lead a meaningless life too. Management announces he doesn't need his services anymore and disappears. A furious Cohen begins screaming insults, but this only activates a video of management on the big screen firing him over and over. Cohen then starts destroying everything in his path and even disconnects every part of the mainframe. When he finally calms down, The cables begin to move and connect the mainframe again. After a few seconds, the machine starts cracking and Cohen jumps right before a big explosion blows the entire structure up. Inside he finds the black hole from his dreams, although now it has images of his life floating around. At first Cohen considers leaving, but then he smiles and lets his body fall into the hole. A light glows brightly as he gets absorbed with the images. Moments later Cohen finds himself on the beach from Bainsley's simulation, although now he's bald and naked. The things from the picnic and Bainsley's bikini top are still there. Cohen admires the sunset before getting in the water to play with the ball. Soon he exchanges the ball for the sun itself, making it bounce before it finally sets. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.